the Pacific coast of Canada. This is Pacific.ca. Today we remember the killings of thousands of Japanese people in 1945. 68 years later, world governments still holding on to weapons of mass destruction are disregarding the wishes of the majority of world citizens. NowPolling.ca subscribers have registered their wish to abolish weapons of mass destruction. You can add your vote to NowPolling.ca to make this claim more significant.
So on August 6, 1945, the United States used the first atomic weapon on Hiroshima. 3 days later, the United States struck again, this time on Nagasaki. In the Hiroshima bombing, 2/3 of the city was destroyed. Within 3 miles of the explosion, 60,000 of the 90,000 buildings were demolished. Clay roof tiles melted together. Shadows became imprinted on buildings and other hard surfaces. Metal and stone melted, and people were vaporized. Of the estimated 350,000 people living in Hiroshima at that time, approximately 70,000 died immediately from the explosion, and another 70,000 died from radiation within 5 years. Almost all the victims were civilians, including some of my relatives. The justification for the bombing was that it would save millions of lives by bringing the war to a quick end. However, many authoritative figures, such as General and later President Eisenhower and General McCarthy, dispute that claim. By June 1945, Japan had already been defeated militarily. Many believed that Japan would have surrendered by the fall of 1945 without the dropping of the atomic bombs and without an invasion of Japan. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were chosen as bombing targets, not for their military value, but for their shock and awe value. The Americans wanted to shock the Japanese leaders into accepting an unconditional surrender. The pros and cons of the use of the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki is a hotly debated topic. You just need to check the internet to see the extent of this debate. For me, the dropping of the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki are events that we should remember, not only for the tens of thousands of civilians that I believe were needlessly killed, but also for the fact that this event marked the start of the nuclear arms race. These bombings should remain a constant reminder of the devastating, destructive power that nuclear weapons possess, and the reasons why we should try to eliminate all nuclear weapons.
I received this note from the Japan Council Against Atomic and Hydrogen Bombs, and this was a note to celebrate the life of Senji Yamaguchi. I hope I pronounced that right. Senji Yamaguchi passed away on July 6, 2013 at the age of 82. Burned by the Nagasaki atomic bomb in August 1945, he sustained terrible injuries and had suffered never-ending health problems over the years. Overcoming great difficulties, he rallied together the isolated and struggling hibakushi at different parts of Japan and co-founded the Japan Confederation of Atomic and Hydrogen Bomb Sufferers organization. During the Second World Conference Against Atomic and Hydrogen Bombs in 1956, ever since then he had always been at the front line of the anti-atomic and hydrogen bomb movement in Japan, and has worked tirelessly and traveled across the world, sometimes against doctors' orders, to inform the people of the world of the atrocity of the atomic bomb and the urgent need to abolish all nuclear weapons, so that no more suffering of hibakushi would be repeated on anyone, anywhere on Earth. Notably, he was the first hibakushi who spoke at the second UN Special Session on Disarmament in 1982 on behalf of the Japanese NGO delegation and appealed, no more Hiroshima, no more Nagasaki, no more war. He had been co-chairman of the Nihon Hidenko and a member of the chairpersons of the organizing committee of World Conference Against Atomic and Hydrogen Bombs. We in the anti-nuclear peace movement in Japan are shocked and truly saddened by his death, but we are determined to carry on his will and spirit to continue the struggle to achieve a nuclear weapons-free world together with the peace-loving people around the world. I have been circulating a petition calling for the abolition of nuclear weapons. This is an international campaign for the abolition of nuclear weapons. And if anyone has, many of you have signed it already, but if there are people that haven't signed it and are Canadian, they can sign the petition over at that table there.
Global issues is one of the topics listed on the front page of nowpolin.ca. If you double-click on global issues, you will find a list of subtopics. Weapons of mass destruction is the top one. If you double-click on this poll, you will find the poll that says weapons of mass destruction, nuclear, chemical, biological, etc. Here you find a list of several initiatives. The top 4 of them call for the abolition or reduction of weapons of mass destruction. You can select any one of them by clicking on the circle. If none of them is your choice, you can add your own initiatives at the bottom of the page here.
The poetry we're about to read is Yumie Kono. Her mother had written 66 poems after the bombing of Hiroshima. Yumie was born in Hiroshima and survived. Her father and brother did not, but her mother had traveled to look for them after the bomb and had written these poems after she had gone on her journey. I have but one comb. It is now a memento I carry around. My womanhood is over. To start again will be hard. Kasako Soto. My husband is whispering. I am listening to the box of bones that I am shaking. I am so sad. My sleep is broken. My dreams are continuing red, recurring red. In Hiroshima, fire. I see it is still burning. Of Hiroshima, within its own night's color, magnesium rays, blue, blue around the people, the souls, they are all burning. The land is burning, and the middle summer's rain steadily drizzling. Wet and glistening those ones. Whose bones are they, I wonder? There is eeriness inside the blue flame, radiating there. The bones left for a long time. Flies are in it, eating them. Exhausted and past showing anger, we agree to one bowl's amount of these designated bones. We go back where we came from. Both breasts, two of them open and fully exposed. A wife has gone mad. Flaming sun, red fire, the river is flowing with blood. Staggering, staggering, the people with grotesque faces, all of them, by the evening breeze, are being blown as they go. 1 cent's worth of money, don't even have that. Ragged, ragged shadow dragging, except one bull's measurement. Many, so many, dead bodies lying in rows. In front of them, straw mats laid out side by side. Not one person is sleeping. Our blood relatives, exhausted searching for them, the crowds of people covered with perspiration. I am one of these people. Immediately, no time between, one by one continue falling faces of many soldiers, nothing to cover them with. In Hiroshima, all living things are finished. It is being passed on, easily made to panic. It is mass hysteria. For this much sorrow, there is no word to describe. There is just a deep sleep that is wanted alongside the dead. Thank you.
This March, my family went to Japan, including two of my grandsons. In front of Hiroshima's Peace Memorial Museum and also park, I prayed world peace. When you see little children and then youth and young people, we have to have world peace. This was my 7th pilgrimage to Hiroshima. Every time I go and visit there, I think about what happened 68 years ago. We have two youth reading stories from children of the atomic bomb. 5 years after the A-bomb was dropped to Hiroshima, the professors of Hiroshima University, they decided to collect stories of children, their experiences.
Yasuko Issei, 10th grade girl, in 4th grade in 1945. The uneasy night when no one could sleep ended. The 6th of August. The sky is beautifully clear and a fresh morning breeze comes through the open window. After the sleepless night, I was lying stretched out on the tatami, dozing. It is a dream or reality. Suddenly there is a flash and a feeling exactly as though the sun itself were beating down its strong light and heat upon me. And at the same time, with a rattling rumble, hot tiles and boards came falling down. Amazed, I wanted to escape, but it is already pitch dark and I am caught underneath something, so I can't move. It is terribly painful, and besides I feel as hot as though I was on fire. "Mommy, Mommy," I shouted as loudly as I could. Everything around me is deathly quiet. I thought I would probably die, and I cried without stopping. After a while, from somewhere above me, I heard my mother's voice. I heard my little brother's voice, too. "Where are you, Yasu-chan? Where are you? Mother is calling to me." I can hear my little brother crying. At last, the object over my face was removed, and I could breathe easily again. And I could see my mother's face. The house was smashed, there was nothing left of it, and I could see the gray sky. "Just wait here a little while, won't you? I have to help Father," she said. I could hear Mother's voice calling, "Father, Father," as though she had gone crazy, as she searched here and there for him. Then he appeared from the direction of the front entrance, covered with blood so that he looked just like the Red Devil. Mother and father came and dug me out. He had been reading the newspaper in only his underwear, so he had cuts all over his back from the glass of the outside doors. But the little brother who I had been lying beside, who was less than 2 months old, was nowhere to be seen. Mother started to cry. From behind the house, somebody was shouting, "The fire is coming around your way." Father was saying, "Maybe it's no use. Maybe we'd better give up and give out." And he pulled Mother and the rest of us towards the entrance to go outside, when, wah, wah, we heard the baby crying. Mother sat down right there and began to dig furiously among the debris. And there he was. The baby was caught there crying between a lot of tiles and boards. Mother held the baby tightly in her arms, and she was saying, she was crying. We are all crying too. And I felt resentful at the time. In order that the people of the world will never again have to repeat the cruel sufferings which Hiroshima endured from the A-bomb, we pray mightily for the peace with all our heart.
Susumu Kimura. I suppose it was about 10 minutes before 8 o'clock. Suddenly, that cursed siren sounded off. When I turned on the radio, it reported, "The enemy planes are now advancing north from the Bungo Narrows." From the windows, a vicious light struck at our eyes. It flashed from red to yellow, just like fireworks. Everything instantly became pitch dark. You couldn't see an inch ahead. With a cry of, "Mother!" I grabbed her, and that instant passed with us clutching each other. It seemed, however, a long, long time, more as if 10 years were passing. I wonder whether it really lasted as much as 2 or 3 minutes. Finally, my eyes got used to it, so that I could see things. The house was smashed. The walls were knocked flat. The door was blasted off. Only the frame of the house remained. Mother looked around in silence for a minute, and then said, "It's dangerous to stay here like this. Let's go outside." I and Mother crawled out from under the house. There we found a world such as I had never seen before, a world I'd never even heard of before. I saw human bodies in such a state that you couldn't tell whether they were humans or what. Mother said, "You mustn't look," and she covered my eyes with her 2 hands, but I pushed my mother's hands away and looked fearfully all around. There was already a pile of bodies in the road, and people are writhing in death agonies. 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, every day we hunted, but my sister was nowhere to be seen. Whenever we heard footsteps at the gate, we thought that it might be Sister. At night, we always left the gate open so that she could come in any time. However, my sister did not come back. I had to go back to the place in the country where I had been evacuated. Finally, on the 15th of August, Japan surrendered. War. War. When I see the word war, I remember what my sister once said. It was in a letter which she wrote to me when I was first evacuated from the country. "Susumi-chan, you must be lonely all day by yourself. We are lonely here too because you aren't here with us. When the war is over, we'll all live together, won't we?"
August 6th and August 9th are dates we must never forget. On August 6th, Hiroshima was destroyed by the first atomic bomb. In the 3 days following, the shock and disarrayed Japanese government was unable to arrange a swift surrender. The United States dropped another bomb, this time on Nagasaki. Respected historians now say internal governmental documents have surfaced that prove the Japanese were discussing how to surrender in the weeks before the total destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These bombs were totally unneeded to end the war. From a military point of view, they were barbaric, unnecessary acts. From a humanitarian point of view, it is beyond comprehension that any government could inflict such horror on an already defeated enemy. Canada had a major role in the production of those 2 bombs. The Consolidated Mining and Smelting Company of Trail, British Columbia, manufactured and exported the heavy water required to make these bombs explode. Canada continues to be committed to the environmental and military ravages to our planet, as we yearly produce over 400,000 tons of carbon dioxide in the mining and fuel fabrication of uranium. Today, 9 countries have nuclear bombs: the United States, Israel, Pakistan, Russia, France, Britain, India, and North Korea. At least 40 other countries have the ability to build their own nuclear arsenal. The United States spends over $150 billion a year on building and deploying more than 23,000 nuclear weapons. This amount of money is what it would cost to provide health care, education, food, clean water, and safe sewage treatment to every one of the 7 billion people who live on planet Earth. We humans embrace dramatically contrary personalities. We love and procreate. We hug and support our children and our friends. But we also fear, hate, inflict pain, and wreak destruction. On days such as this, we make an attempt to come to terms with our destructive urges. We recognize that they exist in us all, and that we need to be constantly working to build a society that enhances our strengths rather than our weaknesses. Canadian writer June Callwood was a model of positive aspects of our humanity. Just before her death from cancer, she was asked if she believed in God. She replied, "I believe in kindness. In each of us is that part of ourselves that is deeply concerned for others, ready to stand up to those who need help, and to confront our governments when necessary. It is this mindfulness for others that can calm the storms of political fear-mongering and selfish, short-sighted actions of people and governments. It is this mindfulness for others that can build a healing society and a healthier planet, resistant to destructive forces."
Politicians and governments will continue to implement their agenda as long as we the people continue to legally empower them to legislate on our behalf. We the citizens need to show in concrete numbers our approval or disapproval of what we want the governments to do or not to do. Our political future needs to be identified, spelled out, and measured on a poll, a plebiscite, or a referendum before the government can act one way or another. Nowpolling.ca is an essential tool to participate in direct democracy.